Kia ora, time for your Bachelorette New Zealand recap. I'm Mama C. Well, last time the boys moved to their new country mansion, Liam made his decision to stay, which ended up troubling Jesse and a few of the other blokes. Steve was waiting on his answer about the big kiss from Lucina, and we saw promises of the most shocking rose ceremony ever. So that's what they left us with. So let's get to it. Well, we rejoined Steve and Lucina. They recap the small talk, and then we see him ask her about the kiss again. He says he feels chemistry, but he says no pressure. She looks awkward and says, "How do I honestly feel?" Yeah, and then she is feeling the stress of having to decide what she wants to do about Steve. So, yeah. Well, on to Lily. She has some great time. She appreciates all the physical gifts she gets, but she says she really likes seeing the guys' softer sides. Lily asks Aaron why he hasn't tracked down Lucina, teasingly. But, he's just biding his time, right? So she talks about the comfort thing, Lucina that is, and her reservations. And then Steve just comes right out and he asks her, is he in the friend zone? She tells us she doesn't know if it can progress, but she tells him that is what she's struggling with. He's very understanding, of course, and says she should do what feels right. They hug like friends. Yeah. The ladies confer with Art. They love the new location. Lily shares her Quinn experience. She gave him a rose, she says, as well as Liam and Richie. Lucina isn't sure about Michael. She talks about the Steve thing. Lily wonders about Terence. She doesn't know yet who he is, so she's hoping he will have a chance to open up. 7 roses are left to hand out tonight. Who's going to go home? Well, it is rose ceremony time. All the guys seem nervous. Yeah, it's getting down to the wire. Richie and Liam and Quinn, of course, they have their roses. Lucina has not given out any roses prior. And one, as I said, is leaving tonight. Well, Lucina gets to go first. She chooses for her first rose, Logan. Aaron says, he's at a point where he wants to feel special. Yeah. Terence, he wants to open up, but, he needs a bit more time. All right, Lily's up next. She selects Elliot. Then Lucina calls out Mike McDreamy. Lily then says Terence. Lucina chooses Aaron. Lily's last rose goes to Jesse. I know. Lucina has the last rose, and it is down to Steve and Michael. She says, Michael. Well, Steve is disappointed. Quinn is gutted, because that's his mate, and he's going to be leaving. Steve, though, he says he feels relieved to have had his chats. He says his goodbyes, and he says, if there was no sexual attraction, that's okay, that, they can be great friends. Yeah. They hug, and I even teared up a little bit. Yeah, I'm going to miss Steve. Yeah. Well, next day, it is date time. Mike gets a single date today for some four-wheeling with Lucina. Mike rides on the back of Lucina's bike. He then takes his turn at driving. He says he had a great time. Meanwhile, the boys sunbathe. They talk Steve's departure. Quinn was really disappointed, and he had even cussed, like when Michael's name was called out. I think he was just cussing because his mate was going home. I know it probably upset him a bit, but I don't think it was anything personal against Michael. But I think Michael feels a bit stung, like, maybe it was something to do with him, but I really don't think Quinn has personal issues with Michael. I think he was just more hurt that his mate was being sent home. At least I'm playing devil's advocate, of course, but that's my opinion. Elliot and some of the other boys, they play around with a trap. I guess, they got to do something. Elliot says he wants to make sure he finds the right person. So, he's not going to stress about it, and he wants things to just work out organically. Quinn and Richie decide to write a cute little song for Lily, and then we see a montage of the singing that has transpired throughout the show. Aaron and Quinn discuss Liam and his choice to stay. They say he said he wanted to leave. Quinn says he was bothered that Liam is now staying. The lads say if he isn't there for the right reasons, then he should piss off. So, Then up, Terence gets a crack at having a date with Lily. They get to go horseback riding. He admits he's never ridden before and is a bit, excited. Lily hopes that Terrence can open up today. Then, we see a flashback of Terrence and Lily doing the jet boat racing, because it's been a while since they've had a date, right? Like a big date. Terrence wants to give her what she wants, but I think he's also scared. Lily's having some troubles with her horse, whose name, ironically, is Carousel, but in Spanish. So was it Caracelita or something like that? But because it likes to keep going around in circles. So you get that. Lily waxes poetic a bit. I think she feels like she's come to some sort of realization. After their ride, they have a bit of a picnic. Terrence talks about his walls. He says his walls are life in general, not just women. And she presses him a bit more. And he does open up, and he's now starting to realize that he needs to work a bit harder to do it. She asks him, what can he tell her about himself that nobody else would know? And he admits to having worked through depression. And this is such a hard topic, and I say well done to him for not being embarrassed to bring it up, because it's not just a few people, a lot of people suffer from depression. And, it's something that we should talk about, because, there's no point in being embarrassed about it at all. So I appreciate him being open enough to discuss it. So back to Lucina and Mike. Lucina wants to discuss their lifestyle. He says he's had a lot of walls up after his divorce as a way of self-preservation. He says he needs to figure out how to bring them down. And the move to the country has really helped him a lot. And I think that's been good for all the lads, because I think they really all needed it. She asked if he would marry again. He says he said he wouldn't before. He would have said no, but, these are good questions, but a little confronting. She says she would like to marry sometime in her lifetime, and he says he doesn't want to rush for the wrong reasons. Mike opens up to Lucina and shares, a lot of things about this experience are freaking him out a bit. He's feeling he's being rushed and doesn't want to feel like he's forcing himself to open up. He's starting to second guess everything. She talks of her pressure, and she says she is looking for a connection, but she really doesn't know what she's looking for. Mike says he needed her to open up, and he feels better now. She says when they both have their walls down, they can be good. She sees hope with him, and he sees hope as well, and she offers him a rose, which he gladly accepts. And we see now some passion. He's feeling good and feels like they're in a good place right now. Well, next time, the boys are going to get serious and want to get rid of who they think is there for the wrong reasons. Well, what's that going to be about? I know they've had some issues with Jesse. They've had some issues with Liam. So what is this going to be about? Terrence, then, he also is going to be worrying about being treated differently. So we'll hear more about that. So join us again Sunday for the next Bachelorette New Zealand recap. I'm Mama C. Have a great day wherever you are.